Okay.
All righty. Welcome, everybody, to this week's live stream that we are doing. We're talking about today's talking about the secret sauce, the one thing that we have found for ourselves and for many other people that we work with and that we have sung with over the years. That one thing that really seems to be the core element in having a singing career that is successful in the short term, but also successful over the long term, and having a career that really makes an impact on people's lives, and not just not just a surface level, like, okay, I'm doing well, but I don't feel good about my life kind of a way, but really having a career that makes an impact on people's lives, that brings joy and brings fulfillment to you, and changes the way that people see themselves and see the world. So what is that one component? What is that secret sauce ingredient?
Right.
um,
When we ask all the time, we ask our students all the time why they sing. That's one of the biggest questions that we ask. We ask every single person who comes into our path, why do you sing? And most often, I would say the answers vary from I sing because I have to I sing because it really brings me a lot of joy, to I sing because it's the only thing I'm good at. And it's always really it's sort of a ubiquitous concern of ours. Everywhere we go, singers struggle to find their why. And there are a lot of problems that arise because of that.
yeah, yeah. So why should you know your why? That's the question that we're asking today. So when you are an artist of any kind, whether you're a singer or a voice teacher or any other kind of performing artist, any kind of entrepreneur, any kind of business owner of any kind, you are your own business entity. And a lot of times we as artists don't like to think of ourselves as businesses, but you are, for better or for worse, you are a business entity. And all businesses need a mission statement. You need something that guides you in everything that you do. And so your why is that mission statement. When we ask people, why do you sing? Why do you do what you do? That's really what we're saying. That's what we're asking, is what is your mission statement? What guides you to achieve what you are trying to achieve? What is really your end game? What's your long-term goal here? What are you achieving by being the best singer you can be? What are you achieving by being the best teacher you can be? What are you achieving by being the best artist that you can be? And what are you achieving for yourself? What are you achieving for other people? What are you achieving that's going to help the world?
Yeah.
And that's what it really comes down to. It's so crucial to know your why for a number of different reasons. We're going to talk about short-term success components. We're going to talk about long-term success components. But yeah, those. So a lot of times when we ask people this, they haven't ever really thought about it, and so they might have some kind of surface level answers that, like, I just don't know how to do anything else. This is the only thing I'm good at. It's something that I just feel really called to do. I feel like I'm supposed to do this, or it makes me feel really good when I
Yeah.
sing. I feel great. It makes me forget about my problems.
Right. Or it makes other people forget about their problems. Another
Mhm.
one that I'll say I want to talk about for a moment is, and I think that this is meant really beautifully, that people are inspired by some choir teacher that they had in high school, some music teacher who just really inspired them to pursue this in their lives. And while that's a beautiful tribute to pay, and that's a beautiful reason to be inspired to create music, that's not our why. That is what sort of illuminated our why for us potentially, but that is not the reason that we are doing it. We felt fulfilled by that teacher in some way. We felt inspired by that teacher in some way. And so that teacher has inspired us to move forward in the same field. But that teacher is not the reason that we are doing it, just the inspiration behind it.
hmm Yeah, that teacher. If you have a good teacher, what they're doing is they're helping you to illuminate something about yourself. They're helping you to draw out your own inherent sense of joy through music, and that's what a good teacher does. So that's great. Pay tribute to your teacher, but recognize that There's something deeper there. And so those of you who are watching this, if you're watching this live right now, go ahead and post in the comments, why do you sing? What is your why? What drives you to do what you do? Why
And
do
guys,
you
it's
create art with and to share it with people?
recognizing the reason behind why we're doing things influences how we do them. In the same way that when you're cleaning the house because you're fed up with how messy it is, you're going to clean it differently than you are if the president of the United States is coming over for dinner, right? When we understand what our purpose is, the work that we are doing is informed in a different way and we approach it differently. And
Mhm.
that is absolutely true of singing. When we are singing because we think that our purpose is to sound good and to show off the voice that we were given, then we're not singing the same way that we are if we understand that our purpose is to tell a story or to build empathy or to share something deep within us. It's a
That's right.
very different approach.
It totally changes how you sing, not just um, how you look and how you sound, but how you energetically interact with the other people there. Lindsay Ann says, I enjoy listening to music, but singing it, embodying, and being a channel for it is a whole different level of experiencing it. Absolutely, that's absolutely the case. Lindsay, like, I'm curious to know if you can dig deeper than that. What is it about embodying it that is different for you, and what really drives you to do that? What drives you to create music for people and for yourself? Um, I would say for us, the thing that we always talk about, that we come back to, is that singing specifically, music in general, but singing specifically, is a way for us to connect with people in a way that allows us to recognize our shared humanity with one another. And this is something, I mean, if you live in the United States right now, you're being inundated with news stories, with social media posts about the most recent school shooting that has happened in the United States.
Which
And
came like 2 days after the most recent one before it, right?
right,
This is
we have
what
a major
we
we have a
do.
major problem with people not understanding the value of human life. We have a major problem with people not recognizing the humanity that they share with other people, and with feeling like the solution to their own personal problems is to be violent and to take it out on other people. It's this it's this terrible problem of disconnection that we see manifesting in violence. We see manifesting in wars. We have this giant war happening between Russia and Ukraine right now. We see happening with racial inequality, with age inequality, with gender inequality, with all sorts of different types of discrimination that we experience. And there, basically, all of the major crises that we keep being inundated with in the news come down to this issue of human disconnection. We don't understand the connection that we share with each other, with the earth, with our communities, with society, with the world around us. And the most powerful antidote that we have found is singing with people, singing for people, and singing with an understanding that you can make a difference in somebody's life. It's not just about singing pretty sounds and making high notes sound good so that you can get hired again. It's singing to make a difference. And so that's our why. That's why we do what we do. It is not about just entertaining people. It's about making a difference in the world. And so that
Absolutely.
drives us to be performers to the best of our ability, drives us to be teachers to the best of our ability, and it drives really everything that we do with our lives and with our,
Yeah.
with our business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in the short term, this looks like, every time we sing for people, oh gosh, someone is mowing the lawn across the street. Let me sneak inside as I'm talking to you all. Um, so in the short term, this is crucial because as we're going into auditions or as we're going into performances, it's so important that we keep our purpose central in our voices and our performances, in our at any time we are in front of anyone. But in the long term, this is going to change how we have careers, right? We've known so many people who have left the arts, who have left music altogether because they don't have that sense of why. And when things get hard and when they feel like, they're having to audition over and over again, they're like, well, this isn't fun for me anymore. I'm going to give it up, because they don't recognize that it's such a deep seated purpose, right? That it's such a crucial thing in the world, and that it's something that we contribute in a very big way to society.
Absolutely. So Lindsay Ann followed up with, it feels like I'm one with the music instead of outside of it. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm an avocational excuse me. I'm an avocational singer, so it's for personal satisfaction and enrichment. Um, I'm now taking tentative steps to share it, to connect and move people, but it takes a lot of courage. And Lindsay, you're doing some amazing work on that front. I
Yeah,
will
you
tell
are.
you that. Hillary said, exercise creates endorphins that make you happy. Well, I don't necessarily experience that with exercise, but I do experience it with singing. It creates something chemical, psychological, spiritual that affects my mood in a really positive way.
Yep.
Absolutely. It does all of those
Absolutely.
things. And the cool thing about it is when it affects you that way, you're sharing that with other people, and they experience that vicariously through you as well.
Yep.
Jordy said, song is part of what it is to be human. Yes, yes, absolutely. Though one could argue that animals may enjoy music, they do. Humans actually communicate, tell stories, and relieve or express emotion through music, and even more so through vocal music.
Yep.
Totally, totally. Um, Spot on, Jordy. Those are all excellent answers. So, yeah, we Steph was just talking about, in the short term, when you know your why and you go to a performance or you go to an audition or you go to a competition, a lot of those are really unnatural situations to be in, and we've talked about that a lot on various different things. That trying to become the character in a short couple of minute time frame for an audition or for a competition is just it's an awkward thing to try to do. It's an unnatural thing to try to do. There are people trying to judge your performance in that, and so you're focused on that judgment rather than on making an impact, rather than on sharing something and telling a story. But if you know what your why is not there to win that competition. Your why is not there to just get that one gig. Your why is to, I mean, for us, our why is to make an emotional impact that makes people look at themselves and look at the world in a different way. Then I don't care about the outcome of that audition or that competition. I'm there for a different purpose. And so that's going to inform the way that I perform. It's going to inform the way that I perform in those situations. And that's what they're looking for, right? That's what an audition panel or a competition panel is looking for, is the impact. They're looking for the hairs on the back of their neck standing up from the way that you sing. They don't care about everything being exactly perfect. They
They
want to
might
feel.
not know that also. They might not recognize that about themselves. They might think that they're looking for the best, most lined up voice. But if you make your auditioner cry in an audition, you've got the role.
Mm-hmm. It's about making an impact on people. Hillary also, she said, I gave up on singing years ago. I loved it, but didn't have anyone to guide me through and understanding the why. I think if I had that back then, I would have stuck with it. Well, we're
Yeah.
glad that you did, Hillary, because Hillary's working with us in the Infuse program right now and doing some amazing things. And whether she knows it or not, Hillary, whether you know it or not, you are changing the world literally, because you are traveling all over the
Yep.
world doing stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. Um, so in the long term, if we know we can make an impact, a greater impact on people in that short term sense by understanding and embodying our sense of why, then how is it going to help us in the long term? What is that why going to do for us down the road? What do you think? Put whatever thoughts you have on that. Why is it? If you think of it in terms of a mission statement, why is that mission statement going to help you have a long-term successful career? We just talked with Jordy about this right before this call, actually. And so really what it comes down to is motivation. When the going gets tough, because the going will get tough. And, instead of just going by the old saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Sure, that's true. But you need to have a reason to keep going, not just to be tough. It's not just about showing everybody how tough you are and how much punishment you can take. If you have a reason to keep going because you have a deeper sense of purpose in what you do, then the trials and tribulations that inevitably come up in your path are overcomable.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a deep sense of purpose, if you're just there to show people how good you are at singing, or if you're just there to get that one gig and then you get the gig and then it's done, it's like, well, what do I do now? Then what's your motivation to keep going? If you don't have an understanding of your why, then you might not have that motivation to keep going. Steph, do you want to chime in on that at all? Think about resilience and creativity also when it comes to when you have that long-term sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And something comes up in your path and you can't get past that boulder in the path. You got to come up with a new way to get around it.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So, practically, when we're thinking about this, in terms of an audition specifically, when we go into an audition and we don't have a purpose in mind, there's really no way for us to connect. If we don't understand that the purpose is not about the voice, is not about showing off our prowess or being, having the best high notes in the room, like if our focus is there, then we can't see beyond the high notes or hear beyond the high notes, right? And no one is pulled in by that. We've all been in performances. We've all listened to singers who've done that, who've experienced, we've all, we were actually in Munich, and I'm not going to say the name of the singer because he's a super, super famous guy. And he gave this absolutely, it was meticulous. It was the most perfect recital I've probably ever heard. Would you agree about this?
Yeah.
It was technically the most precise, the most perfect singing I've ever heard. But he looked down the entire time. And I felt no connection to him. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I heard that, almost computerized perfection. It was stunningly beautiful. I felt very little.
There were a couple moments when he looked up and made eye contact with the audience, and it was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Connection. And it was these magical moments. But yeah, very often for the vast majority of that concert, he was staring down at the floor the whole time and just kind of treating it like he was in a practice room. And it really was disappointing because it cut us off from experiencing all of that, all of the emotions that he was trying to portray.
Yeah.
So and he's normally he's quite a good performer. Usually, I've never seen that from any of his other recordings or videos or performances. So he's normally very good at what he does. But that day was kind of an interesting thing because we missed out on a lot of what he could have given us.
Right. And I think that's probably more common than anything else. I think most of the time when music educators are teaching music, they're teaching musical precision and they're teaching musical mechanics. And it's so easy to lose sight of the purpose. So we ask you all to find your purpose and remember it before each time you sing, to lead with it.
Yeah. And if you're a teacher, remember what you are teaching your students to accomplish. You're not teaching them to accomplish perfect technique. The technique is what you are giving them so that they can accomplish their why. You're teaching them how to have an impact on people. And so, what we've said time and time again is that so much of modern music education seems to be teaching the impact out of people because it's so focused on perfection. It's so focused on precision and being really good at the things on the page. The things on the page are just the pathway to achieve the connection, to achieve the impact. And so make sure that you are teaching the impact into your students and not just your technique. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
All right, guys.
for today. If anybody that watches this, that's watching live, or if anybody watches the recording of this, if you're interested in learning more about what you can do to develop a deep understanding of your why, of your sense of purpose, and what you can do to advance your career as a byproduct of that, then send us a message, leave a comment on this post, and we'll reach out to you and we'll see what we can do to help you achieve the goals that you have for yourself, vocally,
Yep.
career-wise, life-wise, and otherwise. So,
Absolutely.
all right.
All
Have a
right,
great
guys.
day. We'll see you
Thank
later.
you.